entrepreneurial thing.
Alrighty, guys. Well, welcome to episode 7 of the New Agent Podcast. My name is Nick Overby. I am honored, beyond honored, to not only introduce a friend of mine, but also somebody who I highly respect in this business. I'm going to have Nick Gardner on tonight, but first I want to just thank you guys for joining me. Again, why we're here is really for everybody to be a part of my journey and hear what my experiences are, and truly just to document what I'm doing, how I'm evolving, the pitfalls, the things that I personally see, and ultimately hope to share that with everybody, and everybody gets to take something out of it. And so, I've been in sales for my whole life. I mean, that's what life is. You're selling yourself at some point, and I've been in the profession and made my money from sales for the past 15 years. And my journey getting here was interesting. I won't bore you guys with that right now because I know that we've all heard it a couple times. Really, the reason why we're here is to share the journey of somebody who's been doing this, give us newbies, myself, an opportunity to learn somebody else's, put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and really get that experience. So I will not keep myself any longer. I talk too much as it is. So everybody, I want to introduce Nick Gardner. I will let you give the spiel and tell everybody who you are. And like I mentioned, we'll have some questions throughout it, but the floor is yours, my friend.
Right on. Thanks, Nick. From Nick to Nick. Thanks for having me. This is actually a really cool to be just coming asked to join you on the podcast. I do feel that it is a tough industry to break into, and with what you're doing, it definitely not only can help those that are looking to get into the industry, but those that are in the industry, it can help them get better. And know that you're not on an island, right? It seems like on the day-to-day, there are a lot of people, back up. There's not many people that fully understand the gravity of what it is that you do every day, from the business management side of things to the hustle hard side of things to the marketing, and how that hustle kind of can apply across many different fronts. So I think this is awesome, what you're doing for not only the producers that are in the industry, but for anyone who might be looking to get it as well. A little bit about myself. So I really fell into the insurance industry backwards. It's crazy. So I worked in the cruise industry for 8 years total. 2 of those were in sales. So I've got some corporate training under my belt. I sold cruises for Carnival Cruise Lines nationwide. Did that for 2 years, loved it and hated it at the same time. I didn't really like wearing the suit and tie, so I transferred shipboard and was in the entertainment department with Carnival Cruise Lines, and also celebrity cruises, activities director type thing, calling bingo, playing the games and whatnot. Pushing 29 and thought, this has been great. It's been a great run. What am I going to do with my life? Like, what am I doing with myself, right? And so retired. Thought I wanted to go into aviation, and long story less long, I ended up falling into insurance. For about 18 months, I had 3 very influential people in my life: my grandfather, my grandmother, and my dad, who had mentioned, grandfather mentioned that he knew some really good sales guys, some really close friends, lifelong friends. They were both insurance agents, and they do not hurt for money. You should look at getting into it. Grandmother talked about going from entertainment back into sales. You can talk to people like you, get into sales. And then finally, my father, I told him, we had an open dialogue before he passed away. I always wanted to own my own business. Didn't know what it was going to be, but I always thought being in business for yourself was awesome. So 18 months leading up to getting into insurance, I had a grandmother tell me sales, grandfather insurance, and dad entrepreneurship. Went out and played golf one day. I was interviewing. I was applying like crazy. This was 2013. Applying like crazy. Go play golf. Meet a guy on the golf course, and they're looking to add a salesperson to their current existing State Farm office. And there's a program that State Farm has where you can actually work for a couple of years, and then you could get to a point where you interview for your own office. I was hired with that idea. I was hired that I'm going to come in and work this system, learn it, come in, knock it out of the park, and get out. And that really spoke to me. Sales, insurance, and entrepreneurship. It was awesome. That's my dog Jake drinking.
Hey, no, look, raw, unedited, uncut,
Yes.
being about who you are, and yeah, man, that's awesome. Because he's a big part of your business, though, right?
Correct.
So
Being
perfect.
real. I mean, that's just it, right? It's being real. It's connecting with people. It's building a relationship every day. So that's how I got into the industry. Rocked out, doing the team member thing for an agent for about 3 years, interviewed, got selected, and now I've had my own office in Dahlonega, Georgia for right at 3 years, a little over 3 years, actually. I'm in year 4. It's awesome. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's crazy. When I started, my hair was black, dude. Look at this. Literally, I had jet black hair when I started, right?
Hey, look at least you had hair, bro.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
Look at this. It's gone. It's just gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, at least, I could be like the next guy in Sopranos or something with a gray, whatever. Anyway, it's awesome. I enjoy talking to people. I can't go anywhere without getting stuck talking to someone. My friends either love me or they hate me for that because we're out in a big group. I'm always the one that's, I don't know, where's Nick? Oh, he's over there talking to some random guy, whatever. This is who I am. That's what I do. Insurance, love it. It's a lot. I know you do the health insurance thing, right?
Yeah. So I'm licensed in life as well, but it's not something that we offer through my appointment through my company. So
gotcha.
I mean, it's when you think about it, there's 345 million Americans. At least let's take 20% of them off. So you're looking at 280 million Americans that either need or desire the products that you and I serve. So you and I are both in a great boat.
Right. Well, that's the cool thing with what it is that we do, P&C. Everyone is a potential client, right? Yeah. So if you meet someone and you're at a restaurant, chances are they drove there. Auto insurance. Do you rent or own? Homeowners insurance, renter's insurance. And if through underwriting, guidelines, we can't get them on either one of those, which is rare, they're alive. They're 6 feet up and not 6 feet under. So we can insure your life because the only guarantee is we're all going to die and pay some taxes in between. Yep. So at some point in time, anyone that you come across is a potential customer. And that really resonated with me. And I think once I figured that out, that no matter what, you're always marketing. Some people might even, make comments, especially your family. When you first get into the industry, you're so stoked, you're excited, and you just know all this stuff. And you just want to go and talk to someone and go, bah!
Yeah.
And just dump it on them, right? Yes. You just want to dump it on them. You know all this stuff. It's exciting. And that, I think, is naturally as a salesperson, you're talkers.
Yes.
Obviously, we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen more than you talk. But, I think early on, that was definitely one of the mistakes I made is just talking too much. You just studied, you passed these, state tests, you studied for a month or whatever. But yeah, so it's been fun, man. It's definitely been different going from a team member where I was just, all I had to do every day was just go in and sell. And that was it. That was awesome. I love that. That's what I enjoy most about the business. Once you take that next step, that next level to agency ownership, now it's a whole different ball game. You could be the best dang salesperson there is, and it doesn't matter. It's a very humbling experience because it all depends upon your team that supports you, and you're going to make it or break it with that team. That's definitely one of the things that I underestimated was how hard it would be to find a solid team. And it's been a very humbling experience. Knowing that I could be the best dang person. I know everything. I know all the, the policies and the ins and outs and all this stuff. And I'm nothing without the team, So that's.
Let me ask you this: how many interviews do you do a week? Or I ask as we go through a bunch, and kind of curious to hear the turnover on that you're in.
I'm scheduling at least one a day.
Yeah. And
there was a guy I went to a Braves game before I even started. My sales leader, who's kind of like our territory, manager, like a consultant basically from corporate, took me out to a Braves game and asked a very tenured agent, you got any advice, any words of wisdom? And the very first thing he said, never stop recruiting. Never, ever stop recruiting. You could have the most amazing team right now, But I mean, you look at like the Braves, like they have their farm teams, and yeah, we have great bats right now. There's horrible pitching. I don't even know about the Rangers. I don't even know what's going on with them.
It's nothing to talk about. Don't worry.
Yeah. We'll stick with the Braves then.
Yeah, but much more entertaining at this point right now.
Yeah, but it's more about that farm team. Who are you grooming as your next top people? Because eventually, for us anyway, you're going to want your top performers to move on, right?
Yeah.
Your top performers are going to get to a point where they want more, and that's awesome. So yes, at least an interview a day, and I'll probably get to a point where I could back that down some. It takes a while for us to see a return on a team member, probably until they start paying for themselves. I mean, ideally as soon as possible. 90 days, 6 months, year on the outside, right?
Really?
And so yeah, so you recruit, you bring them in, you have like a fresh recruit training class, one doesn't make it or so, then you bring in another 2, 3, knowing that one out of those 3 is going to make it. When I started, everyone I had, I knew they were going to make it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you're a really positive dude. You are a really positive dude. And I'm very similar. I always find the good in people. I always find like, oh man, they have this, they have that, they're going to make it. Not always the case.
It's a fault almost, right?
What's that?
It's almost like a fault of ours.
Yes. It's a fault that you're so positive that you literally will search and go, no, but they have this that was really good, or this is a great characteristic.
Ignore the box of red flags sitting in the corner. Let's just focus on the good stuff. Yeah, I got it.
Don't worry about those red flags.
Who cares? He killed somebody before. I got it.
So recruiting is huge. Now I know in some agencies are run differently. For me, it's I definitely want to grow as big as I can. I didn't get in this thing to be, low time, kind of making the medium bucks. I want to make those big bucks. And so I'm going as big as I can, but you have to scale it, right? Like make sure that your numbers are right and your cash flow is good. So the recruiting piece is definitely huge though, for sure.
So I got a question. I know your experience. I've obviously, so for those of you guys who don't know, we grew up together. I mean, Nick grew up here in Dallas, in Dallas. I'm in Fort Worth, but grew up in Dallas. We went to school together, and friends with his sister. I mean, there's a lot of connection here. So I already know the answer to this, but for those of listening, you talked about the cruise ship experience. I find that extremely, extremely awesome that you come from such a unique background. But what do you feel like? This is the question. What do you feel you gain from that? In your tenure being on the cruise ship, interacting with people from all different cultures, all different walks of life. What were some of the things you took away, and more importantly, how do you assess, or do you try to find those similar traits in the people you're recruiting?
Dude, I can call a hell of a bingo game.
I bet you can. By the way, I've seen this dude on video. Is it too legit to quit, or can't? You did something. And you were just
the break dance?
Yes. This dude can dance, bro. This dude can dance.
Yeah. There's video out there. No, I mean, I can't call him a bingo game, but I would say definitely the soft skills that were taken away were just literally people, learning people, learning what gets people to tick, learning, no matter who you talk to, you can relate to them in one way or another, right? Whether it's they're from Kansas and I don't know, I love the band Kansas. Oh, they're not from there? Oh, that's weird. Oh, you like classic rock? And there you go, right?
Yeah.
Or you have a grandmother that lives in Kansas, or I'm showing some chest there, so I'll open it up a little bit. All right, it's after 5, right?
Grabbing the beer all day.
Yeah. Talking to people, customer service, dealing with the general public, and then more so in sales, if you can talk to people and they like you, they trust you, you will do well. This is going to sound weird, and follow me for a minute if you can.
Okay.
When you're on stage and you're dealing with a drunk person that's been, you're on a 7-day cruise and you're on like day 5, and you've got them on stage and they started drinking bloodies at like 9:30 and this is like 2, and they're part of your activity and they're going to be awesome, but they've also been drinking all day, and you have to control that whole activity and start it and get from A to B, and it needs to be entertaining. It needs to be family friendly. and you need to kind of cover all the bases and the high notes that you were wanting to do. And so learning how through suggestion, right?
Yeah.
Trying to get people to do things without them knowing that you're getting them to do things, right? Whether it's if you want someone to stand in a certain place, right? You're going to almost stand in a certain way that they would open, and you know that they're going to open up to you in a certain way. Or this is huge. You ask certain questions knowing that the chances, the likelihood of their response is going to set you up for like a one-liner or a pun or something, right? You're going to get some comedic value by asking an open-ended question versus a yes or a no, right? A yes or a no, like we're doing here, we're talking, there's banter. And on the ships, that's a lot of it was just banter. I would get little kids on stage and ask them jokes, and they just say that show, kids say the darndest things, they truly do.
Mm-hmm.
So in sales, especially in what I do, we have a PNC, a liability conversation. And, you call someone and you're like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I want to quote your insurance. Great. Where do you go from there? Right? And so those first probably 15 seconds you get someone on the phone, you want to capture their attention. You're not a robot. You're a real person. Real quick, I'm completely different than anyone else who's just like reading off of a script and calling to talk to you about this. And you want to keep them talking. And to keep them talking, you ask open-ended questions. The only time that we ask a yes or a no, for example, I'll ask you, do you know your current liability limits on your auto policy?
I mean, I could look for you, but I really have no idea right now.
Probably have no idea, and 9.85 out of 10 are going to say no. And I'm glad you said no, because that sets me up for what I'm about to ask. So that's the only reason you ask that yes or no question.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of that I learned on the ships, where you're repetitive. I mean, you're doing 3 and 4 day cruises. You're working twice as much in 1 week as you would a 7-day cruise. And so just the study of people, I know there's a fancy term for that. I'm having a brain fart right now, but
behavior. Now I look at it as like behavior analytics or behavior analysis.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. So that was a huge takeaway for me. I got some management from it as well, and just having fun, man. That's what I tell people as well, is at the end of the day, what we do, it's kind of boring. It's not super sexy. And I just want to have fun. That's how I run the agency. That's how I work with the team. That's how I am with my, clients. A lot of them tell me that, wow, you're not like the typical insurance agent. And I'm like, man, thank you. And I fist bump them. I'm like, that's awesome.
All day. I love that.
Yeah. I like you. I'm sure you get it too. Like, I don't want to be like that cookie cutter, just insurance guy. Because honestly, that's not me. And if I try to put myself into that space, you can tell that I'm not comfortable. And right. That's a huge takeaway as well, is just being yourself. Having a personality is huge. And, out there on the ships, you had your own personality. And so that was, that's another thing, is you definitely have to have a big personality, especially in phone sales.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Because if you don't, me and you, I can say this because I've had conversations with you over the phone. I know not only you understand how to appropriately talk to somebody, but you know how to use it to your advantage. And I mean, tonality, inflection, all the basic stuff people talk about in Sales 101 books.
Right.
And when you have a conviction, right, like I automatically know you are in love with what you do. And that to me is when somebody says that to me, they're like, I can just tell you honestly enjoy doing what you do. That almost to me is, I mean, it doesn't pay the bills, but it also is almost enough to say, okay, I'm doing the right thing and I'm having fun doing it. And, I think a lot of it has to do with maybe it's involuntary or voluntary, but it's about the level of integrity with you hold yourself in. And for me, I often don't even think about it. I'm like, well, that's just me. That's how I do things.
Right.
But people that aren't as, at least in this limelight, aren't as fortunate to have that, like you and I are, it is a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to simply understand that when you speak to a man and you speak to a woman, you have to do that differently. And I mean, it's as easy as just knowing your audience, right? Knowing who you're talking to. I love the understanding people, because for me, it was the restaurant business that for all the years I spent there, and from being a busboy to owning restaurants, it was a beatdown. You know, I mean, the work comparably was just as hard as what I'm doing here, but the reward was not nearly as much. And
Right.
so, but soft skills, and I was having a conversation with one of our new trainees today, and you know, it's a mindset game, and you can change all this. You can adapt and become a better person. Like, you didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to go sell health insurance or P&C. I'm not going to, you know, I'm going to own my own P&C agency. You
Right.
never did that, but you learned and you adapted to it. And I think that's,
Right.
you know, those again are some of those soft skills that you just, unfortunately, you can't necessarily teach sometimes, but they can be learned. It just depends on you.
Comedy. A lot of comedy.
Bro, I love that, because we have, like, here in my office, I mean, we all believe that nobody wakes up and, you know, at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. to go, oh, I want to go labor for money today. You know,
Right.
who does that? And so if you come here and have fun and make jokes about it, enjoy yourself, that generally radiates into your calls, into the people you're talking to. And I mean, like, for us, I know I've looked at your Facebook page, I looked at your social media. People love what you do. You've created relationships with people that will be long lasting, and we do the same. And I think that you talked about a minute ago, you don't want to have that typical perception of a sales guy. And
Right.
I always think about, like, there's a Christopher Lloyd skit I've seen on Saturday Night Live where he's selling vacuum cleaners, and then everybody knows Tommy Boy. Well, it's my favorite sales movie, Tommy Boy. And it's like, part of that is, you know, the atypical greasy salesman, but we're not. And that's what I really enjoy is bringing people back around, changing their minds, getting them into a policy that saves them money, saves them time, and then they truly enjoy. So anyways, I could probably talk about that. I know you got some things to say, and we're running at about 14 minutes, so we'll cut it short here in just a minute.
All right.
Cool.
I mean, you know, to even piggyback on that, especially the comedy piece, that's kind of a common denominator. It really is an icebreaker. I mean, I've been in, you know, doing the life and property and casualty, right? Houses, cars, it's pretty straightforward. You got to have it most of the time.
Yeah.
And so we'll do that, but really where I find I like to live is are the financial services where we truly can make an impact for generations to come. Whether that's, you know, disability to ensure that if you are hurt, you can still keep money coming in and pay all your bills and not get behind, or premature death, life insurance, get your college education for the kids paid, or pay off the home, or replace your income and make sure that family unit doesn't really skip a beat. They can grieve and they can take however long it needs. Now, when you're talking about these things, you're talking about premature death. No one likes to talk about
morbid.
dying. It's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had conversations where, like, a husband and wife come in, and the wife is like, typically the wife is the one that's like, you know, okay, yeah, she's like really into it. She's probably set the appointment. And the husband is just like this, just, I'm here on a Saturday. I could be watching freaking football, or I could be mowing, whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, game on. You know what? Your arms are crossed. Game on, bro. Because that's defensive body language. That's like, I don't want to be here. And to me, that's where I'm like, ding, ding, fight, let's go. And I'll start like throwing stuff out, like whether it's just, you know, jovial, and again, obviously, always professional, know your audience. But to any degree, whether it's a 70-year-old couple or, you know, 40-year-old parents or whatever, that comedy piece, it's something that can connect, and it brings down their walls. And I'm telling you, I've literally watched this from the very beginning when they're like this to at the end, and they're like sitting up in their chair. Yeah, they're like this. And they're leaned back, their arms are uncrossed, and they're holding their hands with their significant other. And the next thing you know, this is the greatest thing. And they're thinking like, dang, like this stuff is actually really important. Thank you so much. And that, to me, is the truly rewarding piece, when I know it's difficult to talk to, but I hold that license, and that's my job. Like, that's my duty to you. And that's why you hired me. And I'm going to have this conversation with you, and you're going to walk away going, man, that was great. That was awesome. I like that guy. And so that to me is the most rewarding piece, is helping, you know, our customers, you know, the business side, whatever. Sales side, obviously that's fun, but it's when you can truly make an impact in people's lives, and not just today, but you make an impact for their kids and then their kids' kids. And when you sit and stew on that for a minute, it's pretty awesome, you know?
Dude, you're absolutely right, man. And a couple of things I'm gonna say real quick, and I'll let you close this out. You know, things I didn't know going into into life, so to speak. I mean, everything's learned, but when it comes to any sort of business, and I think I am a true believer that every business, unless you're sitting behind a desk, in a box, you're not selling yourself, but we are selling ourselves every day, everywhere we go. There is a certain level of salesmanship that's involved with day-to-day actions. But you said a couple of things. Like, to me, the comedy piece is huge. I'm a firm believer that if I can make a woman laugh twice, she's mine, and that's on the phone. Not in person because I don't have that luck, but on the phone, like breaking the ice. Making that first 7 to 10 seconds not uncomfortable. As, oh, hey, by the way, I'm calling you at 9 o'clock in the morning to talk about health insurance. Make an impact. Like, I love the body language comment, and I love how that plays in the involuntary movements and the involuntary language body language that we show off is really indicative of how we're feeling and how we're thinking. I love that you said that. I think anybody listening needs to take that. And to me, we had a conversation earlier today. I really enjoyed the way you talked about the soft skills and how that is really, that is such a big piece of the grit, of the grind, of, being here 12 hours a day, wanting it more than other people. I mean, all that other stuff, wanting it more, blah, 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 is all fun and games, but you're going to end up losing your shit if you can't focus on the bigger things, right? Which to me is knowing your audience, the comedy, making an impact, and applying your soft skills. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's what I took from you, man. I love the conversation. And honestly, I'm looking at, man, we've been doing this for 20 minutes. I want to do episode 7.2 with you. You bring so much to the table, and I think that there's a lot of people that can get a lot of good information from you. And plus, I know you got a date, so I can't keep you on that. But man, look, I'll let you close this out, and I just want to say thank you for your time. I know you've got a lot going on, and for you to give me that is the most valuable thing, and I really appreciate that, Nick.
No, man, yeah, for sure. I really enjoy you having me, and I mean, I could sit and talk about this crap till the cows come home. I really could.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, I mean, you're going to get out of this thing what you put into it. And for those of you that get into this thing and you don't quite see the success that you're wanting right away, you may be too used to that instant gratification, and really check yourself. And really, are you going above and beyond? Are you staying late? Are you making the extra phone call? Are you doing those things that sets yourself apart from all of your competition? Because if you're just trying to do like the same 9 to 5 gig, or like you're calling the people at the same time every day, just going through the motions,
yep,
you're gonna get the same results because you're not checking anything new out, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, stick with it. You're definitely not gonna just come in and just be blowing it up right away. You gotta learn a lot and be real. Be very real with your people. Don't BS people.